Tab Overview. While working with the tab, there are multiple components you must be familiar with. In order to power the tab, you must have the battery inserted and the on-off switch set to on. When powered on, you will see the green LED in the signal section light. The tab works using three forms of communications: copper in the data section, infrared in the remote section, and radio frequency in the wireless section. To configure the tab for the different sections, you will use the connecting block. When properly configured, the green LED for the corresponding section will light. When pressing the switching button, the signal light and buzzer will light and sound accordingly. In the data section, information will be traveling through two-pair cable. In the remote section, data will be transmitted using infrared light. In the wireless section, data will be transmitted using radio frequency. Configuring the tab with light and sound. Now the first thing you're going to do is retrieve your multimeter. You will see there are two ports on the bottom, the COM with a minus and the V omega A with a plus. Your black lead will be plugging in to the COM with the minus. That's our negative port. Your red lead will connect to the V omega A with the plus. That's our positive port. You will now turn the dial on the multimeter one click to 10 volts DC. Next, we will turn on our tab using the on-off switch on the left. You will see the green light under signal turn on, indicating there's power. We will now be plugging in our leads to ports 1 and 4. The black lead will go to port 1 and the red lead will go to port 4. You will see there's 3 volts indicated on the bottom red scale on your multimeter. We will now be setting the multimeter to ohm X1K, which is for resistance. This is how we will test continuity. Now ensure your tab is powered off and plug your black lead into port 17 and your red lead to port 18. Now when you press the switching button, you will see the resistance goes to 0 ohms. This indicates that there is continuity. Now unplug your leads and set your multimeter to off, as you always should when it is not in use. We will now be configuring the tab for both light and sound. So you will be plugging in a single jumper cable from port 4 to port 17, and then you will be plugging in your dual jumper cable from ports 2 and 3 to 18. The single end will plug into port 18, and the two individual ends will plug into both ports 2 and 3. Once you have done this, you will now turn on your tab, and when you press down the red switching button, you will see the red signal light go on, as well as the beep coming from the buzzer. Configuring a tab for data. To do this, you will need your tab, making sure it's powered off, 3 of your jumpers, and then 1 dual jumper. You will also need your C-Tech screwdriver. Now your C-Tech screwdriver has both a flathead as well as a Phillips head. Both can be used on the screws on the connectivity block. Now again, make sure your tab is powered off, and you'll want to make sure that each terminal on your connectivity block is open. To do this, you will loosen the screw. Again, you can use either the flat or the Phillips head, and to loosen the screw, you will be doing lefty-loosey, or spinning the screwdriver counterclockwise. We will now be inserting our jumpers. Your first jumper will go from port 1 to port 5. To seat your jumper, you will be tightening the screw, following righty-tighty, or spinning your C-Tech screwdriver clockwise. Next, you will be connecting from port 6 to port 17. You will now be connecting your next jumper from 7 to 18. And now your dual jumper will go from port 8 to both ports 2 and 3. The single side will go to port 8. The 2 exposed sides will go to 2 and 3. You can now test the connectivity of your tab. To do this, you will need to turn on your tab, and you will look to see a green LED in the data section. When you press the red switching button, you should also hear a beep as well as see the red LED in the signal section light. You can now communicate between 2 tabs that are both configured as data. To do this, you will use a 2-pair patch cord and connect it to both data ports. You can now communicate with a partner group.